big sky stretching as far as the eye can see. And under that sky, a sea of grass, sweeping to the mountains and on beyond. These are the grazing lands, the rangelands of this country. Nearly 900 million acres of them, over a third of the United States, devoted for generations to the raising of livestock. That's a lot of land and a lot of grass, but it takes a lot to raise the meat supply for a whole nation, and it takes time too. Time for grazing the grass through the warm months, and for eating it as hay down near the ranch buildings when the snow sets in. To most people, time and grass probably don't seem too important, but on the range and pasture lands they are. Here, time and grass set their own pace, which the livestock follow as they graze along, slowly consuming the sea of grass to produce a harvest of meat. To the herdsman camped out, the pace is as familiar as the voices around him. So too for the cowboy. But finally a day comes when the pace of the range is over. The decision has been made to sell, and the livestock are on the move in numbers that reflect the true vastness of the grasslands. Every year, about 22 million lambs and 34 million cattle move out. Some are already at market weight, while others require further feeding. Most cattle leave the range today as calves and yearlings, and are shipped to centers that specialize in feeding them to add further weight and quality. A big commercial feed yard may handle 75 to 100,000 head of cattle a year, and it is a highly scientific beef factory, providing high-energy rations balanced with proteins, vitamins, and minerals. On this diet, calves and yearlings can gain 3 pounds a day or better, and soon reach market weight, around 1,000 pounds. Such specialized feeder operations are not only efficient, they also produce meat of more uniform quality and better finish, which is in growing demand today. This increasing demand for better finished beef has also led individual farms to specialize in livestock feeding, often growing their own grain, adding supplements, and feeding a few to several hundred head a year. Specialization in feeding has brought a need for scientifically mixed feeds and new mills to supply them. For livestock today consume over 133 million tons of grain a year. Such mills provide mixed feeds by the sackload and by the truckload. If feed by the truckload means anything, it means hogs, for they are raised almost entirely on grain, nearly 100 million of them a year, furnishing almost 40% of the nation's meat supply. Here, too, the trend is towards scientific feeding on a large scale and producing a leaner meat-type hog. Production is generally concentrated in the big corn-raising areas of the country. Lambs can be brought to top finish on grass alone, but even here, commercial feeding is used to bring them to market weight more quickly. Whatever the livestock, the day comes when the producer decides to sell. He may sell directly to a buyer for a meatpacking company, or he may sell to a packing company buying station, where prices are posted daily. One advantage of the buying station is that the producer can sell his livestock nearby, thus minimizing weight loss and shipping long distances. He can also respond quickly to market changes. He knows, too, that the prices offered here are in line with what the packer is getting for the type of meat the producer has to sell. Another local outlet where the producer knows he will find ready buyers is the livestock auction market.
All right, starter boys, what do we get for? 50, now 60, 50 now, 60 now, 60 now, 5, 65, 60 now, 5, 70, 70 now, 5, 75 now, 70 now, 5, here they go, 75 outside, 75 now, when you roll them in, they roll them 75 now, when you now, 75 now, when you all down through, roll them 75. Boy, we got a good bunch of hogs coming in here. A lot of hogs this morning, a lot of real good hogs. No one Omaha. Let's go here, boys. Come on. Hang in here, boys. Let's go. Open up, bring them in. All right, boys, what are we going to get for them? Start them in the quarter 30. 30 bid now, 40 now, 40 now, 40 bid now, 50, 50, 40 now, 50, 40, 50 now, 50 now, 50 bid now, 5, 60 bid now, 5, 60 bid now, 5 now, 60 now, 80 now, 80 now, 80, 75 now, 80 now, 5, 80 bid now, 5, 80 bid now, 5 now, 90 now, 90 now, 90 now, 85, 90 now, 5, 90 bid now, 5, and sold.
There are over 2,400 auction markets in the country, and they handle about a third of all livestock sold. But the producer still has other choices that are sometimes difficult to make.
Demand for well-finished 1,000 to 1,100 pound steers and 900 pound heifers. Prices generally work strong to 50 cents higher.
George, that heifer market sounds pretty good. Maybe we should start up a load of heifers and have them on the market tomorrow.
Well, it might be okay. The farmers are in the field planting corn now, and they're not thinking of sending any cattle in.
What do you think of calling our commission man and asking him what he thinks about it?
That'd probably be okay.
Thus, the marketing choice is made. On each of the 3 million farms and ranches that produce livestock in this country. There are many factors which determine that choice. Farm papers and newsletters, the radio, Department of Agriculture, and his own experience and preference all suggest to the producer which is the best place to sell. If he chooses one of the country's central livestock markets, it may be Sioux City or Indianapolis, Ogden or St. Paul, Kansas City, Omaha, or one of over 50 other such markets. Every day around the clock, railroad cars and trucks roll up to the unloading docks of this great terminal market. The trucks may carry a couple of animals, a couple dozen, or they may be huge double-deckers that can hold 200 lambs or 40 steers. Majestically, the big trailers move in. At the docks, each shipment is checked in and counted. And then the animals are moved off to the pens of the commission firms to which they have been consigned, where professional salesmen will do the job of selling the livestock for the producer. This terminal market is big, the biggest livestock hotel in the world. Its facilities are owned and operated by an independent private company, which assigns pens to commission firms that use them. Hundreds of people staff this hotel, attending to the needs of some 18,000 cattle, 12,000 hogs, and several thousand lambs that can be expected to check in on a busy day.
All right, excuse me, Bill. Yeah. Everything all right?
Once livestock reach the pens, the commission firm orders from the terminal the feed they need to put on their best appearance for the day's buyers. In this hotel, the service is excellent. Trouble about reservations? Never. At the Livestock Exchange, information is posted on receipts of livestock and selling prices around the nation. The Department of Agriculture furnishes this information to all markets so that both buyers and sellers will be fully informed as they set out to bargain with one another. Meanwhile, buyers for one of the many meatpacking companies that will be competing today are estimating what they can bid in the light of what the company is getting for meat and byproducts.
You've all seen the receipts around the terminal markets this morning. We've got a good supply and we've got a good run of cattle here. If we can buy cattle in line with our last week's costs, I think when the day is over, we'd ought to own a relatively good number of cattle.
Well, now, how about these hotel and restaurant type steers, Newt? We've got a pretty fair supply of them in the receipts today.
I realize that, Tommy. However, our costs were out of line on hotel type cattle at the end of the week, and unless we can bring our costs into line, I think we should be light on that grade.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to work. Keep me posted.
On the other side of the fence, members of a commission firm are deciding what they should get for livestock. And they may have an entirely different idea of the market and what it can bring the producers they represent.
We're higher on everything with exception maybe some plain cattle weighing over 1,300 pounds. What does Omaha say, Walt? Omaha thinks they'll have no difficulty getting quarter higher on everything except maybe a few plain heavy cattle. It looks to me that with the information that we have locally as to receipts in the 12 markets compared to a year ago and the market information we have from these other points, that we should expect fully a quarter higher here.
With buying and selling plans made, bargaining begins.
Mr. Johnson, home-raised cattle. I'd like to sell these cattle 50 higher than yesterday.
Well, Ray, as every indication, our beef trade's going to be steady. We're going to try to buy cattle steady.
Well, this is a very desirable weight set of cattle. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll split with you, sell them.
What are you asking for these, Walt?
I'll take the same as yesterday.
Well, these cattle dumped me last week, Walt.
These
just didn't quite cut the mustard.
Well, I think that the boys over at the plant must have made a mistake because then these cattle got a habit of doing just about the right job.
I get that from you fellas. I think we'd ought to send you over to grade them instead of sell them, Walt. With you grading them and me buying them, we'd make a ton.
Look at how some of those cattle carry down the rounds.
The price is all right, Walt, but I'm afraid we're going to have to take 4 cattle out.
4's too big a trim on this load of cattle. I'd lose my job if I'd take 4 cattle out. I'll tell you what I'll do, though. I'll sell you this load of cattle with 2 cattle out.
Yeah, but look at that thing there.
Well, they can't be all pretty, you know. They don't belong to some beauty contest, but they're all for eating. Look at the dressing of them. Look at the condition of them.
Geez, they're a little bit on the clown order, aren't they?
Well, you could call them that, but they're dressy, and they're good figuring cattle, and they're dressy. And the weights are just what you always told me you wanted. There they are, weigh 11 1/4, 11 1/2. And now don't tell me that ain't what you want, because I know it is.
Why, yeah.
Now here you are making fun of my cattle, and I got just what you want. I know you're trying to bear down on me and trying to do something to make me sell them cheap or something like that, but you're not going to get it done today.
Hello, Newt, are you there? Go ahead, Tommy.
I just saw a load of light handy-weight heifers, but they're going to cost us $25 more. What do you think?
All right, if that's the best we can do, let's go ahead on them.
And so a day's bargaining ends. A sale is closed and the livestock are driven off to be weighed. Hard but friendly bargaining for just a few pennies. But the pennies are important because that's just about all the meat packer gets out of the whole transaction. For the earnings of meat packers are among the lowest of any major industry, about a cent on the dollar. Because the packer's profit has virtually no effect on the price producers get for livestock or the price consumers pay for meat. The competitive nature of the business creates this situation. For thousands of meat packers are competing to sell meat, but they are also competing to buy livestock. And the livestock producer will sell wherever he can get the best price. Thus, when a packer buys, he has to consider what he can get for every last part of an animal. And so weighing the livestock becomes an important matter once a deal is closed. For buyer and seller have been bargaining over pennies, and accurate scales are needed to register such small margins. The skilled hand of the weighmaster and carefully inspected scales assure such accuracy. Once the livestock leave the scales, they become finally the property of the buyer and move on to the meat plant. In the meat plant, beef is dressed and hung in the cooler for 12 to 48 hours. Its temperature is gradually reduced to just a few degrees above freezing. Until it reaches a market, the temperature must be maintained there, though the meat will probably travel hundreds of miles before a consumer sees it. Throughout processing, inspectors of the United States Department of Agriculture examine the carcasses for cleanliness and wholesomeness, and their final stamp of approval on any meat assures the public that these standards have been maintained. Then the meat is graded for quality, and carcasses that meet the packer's own specifications receive his own brand, applied with a roller stamp. Now the meat is selected and tagged for shipment. Here the final grading takes place, and the carcass is often ribbed between the 12th and 13th ribs so that the meat can be examined for quality, color, and texture. Veal is handled in a similar way, except that the hide is usually left on until just before shipping to preserve its delicate color and flavor. Lamb is left whole, but sometimes shipped in primal cuts. Shipping carcasses in primal cuts is a traditional part of the meatpacker's job, but in recent years, with a quarter of the nation's meals consumed away from home, preparing portion cuts has become a part of his business too. Cuts for restaurants and railroads, airlines and steamship companies. Unlike any other meat, pork is sold almost entirely on the basis of cuts, and separating them from the carcass is a highly skilled operation. There are hams, of course, and spare ribs, loins, and bacon. But in all, there are actually over 100 cuts, including chitterlings, pig knuckles, and ham hocks. For of all livestock, hogs have the highest yield in meat and meat products, about 70%, as compared to some 60% for beef and 50% for lamb. Preparing all these cuts is not a matter of skill alone, for skill implies the proper tools to work with. In the case of pork, this means razor-sharp blades, curved and shaped to remove each specific cut. It means cleanliness, too, as cut after cut is lifted from the dwindling carcass. Many pork cuts are cured, like bacon, which is automatically infused with a curing solution. Curing also means smoke, 18 to 24 hours over hardwood fires to bring out the real flavor of bacon, and even longer for hams. And still the cutting continues, as bacon is sliced and separated into 1-pound portions. Most operations in the meatpacking business require a skillful hand. For like people, no two animals are really the same. Even so, there are some operations that machines can perform efficiently. Modern machines provide an efficient way to make frankfurters, since we eat them by the yard anyway, over 150 million yards a year, in fact, and this assures uniform packing, weight, and length. Similarly, high-precision machinery in the meatpacking industry yields table-ready meats of uniform quality, and doing this has become an important part of the packer's business, producing smoked meats and prepared meats and sausages of all shapes and sizes. There are canned meats and specialty meats and meat dishes of many kinds, and there are frozen dishes too, in growing numbers, all broadening the market for meat. And just as important are the byproducts of the meat industry. Here, research has discovered a wide variety of useful products that give added value to livestock. Lard and shortening find their way into bread, cakes, and pastries. And animal oils are the basis of many cosmetics. Hides are carefully saved and sold to tanners. And animal fats find use in soaps and detergents. Animal fibers string musical instruments and provide ever-changing adornment in the changeless form of wool, which always looks good in the light of tallow candles. Still other byproducts form the basis of many industrial products, like adhesives that find increasing use in laminated structures. More far-reaching still are the medical aids which byproducts provide. But the packer's basic business is meat, Buying livestock all across the country and processing it is a big job, but that job is easy compared to moving the meat and selling it. This is where the race with time begins, and where the tempo really picks up. For perishability sets the pace in this industry, and from this point on, the meat must be sold and delivered within a few days. Getting the right quality and weights and types to meet specific demands of thousands of wholesale and retail outlets all over the country quickly is one of the great tasks of this industry. A refrigerator car is closed, and the car slowly moves off along a spur to become part of a mainline train. But where is it headed for, and who wants what it's got? A truck pulls out from a packing plant with 15 tons of meat, but who wants it? A salesman somewhere knows the answer. Every week, over 15,000 refrigerator cars and trucks move meat from packers to consumers. Average trip, 1,000 miles. Average haulage, 500 million pounds of meat a week. That's a lot of meat, and it takes a lot of selling to sell it. Close to the vest bargaining, like it was at the terminal market.
It's a little closer than you realize. This half a dollar,
Tom,
half a cent a pound.
Believe me, Tom, at a half a dollar,
was
just trading dollars with you. 50 cents is a... Well, I'm trying to get...
A lot of sales are made right out of the cooler. But in this fast-moving business, the telephone is often quicker for buyer and salesman.
Well, after all, I mean, all you're giving me is what? All I'm trying to do is get an order for a carload of meat.
Well, I sure don't like the sound of your market. We have a lot of meat to move.
All right, I'll put it in. I don't think it'll do any business, but we'll quote it anyhow. Who knows?
And feel that making shipment of this type only detrimental to our business. Stop.
I think we're going to have to be a little lower than we've been.
All right. We'll talk to him about the pork loins and also about the pork livers, too. Okay? Good enough.
I'd say the top of the market is 7. You might not be able to get it, but let's push for it.
Well, I don't know. I didn't hear that the government had given over their grading to the Meatpacking company, but, you know. Oh, what are you having them rolled? U.S. Standard or a Meatpacking company? Oh, brother. Here we go again.
All day long, the salesmen are at it. And all day long, the phones are busy, keeping the meat counters filled in nearly 20,000 cities and towns and villages all across the country. But the salesman isn't through when he hangs up the phone. Buyers and retailers are having their problems too. Just about as many and as different from each other as there are meat counters. And these problems continually change the pattern of how meat is bought and sold and put on the road.
Good morning, Gene. It's Mr. Cooper. That steak sale we have is going over a tremendous bag. I'm going to need some more loins. Can you help me out? Well, I'm going to need 25 to 30. Can you get those up to me in the morning? Fine. And along with that, I'd like 2 50s of pork, 2 crates of chickens, and some bologna.
15 tons of meat on the road, and the problem at every turn.
Well, I got hot weather here, and I got to cancel 5 of those trucks.
Yeah, 2 more. Everybody's back from Labor Day, and they all want meat.
A couple of cars come in Friday. Got a good price on them. Well, either St. Paul or Omaha, I believe. And they may have one at NS Yards.
Listen, Chris, we've got a big strike on the south side, and the market's off. Can you cancel those 3 refrigerator cars and reroute those others to our north side stores? Catch up with them where? Oh, fine.
But I've got to have an extra 10 boxes of ribs this week. The barbecue season has really hit.
Joe, we just can't use any more lamb in Miami. The tourist season's just about over down here.
So it goes. Just about everything that happens affects the retailer and what he can sell. Weather, strikes, holidays, and different preferences all over the country. And it changes every day. How do you make sense out of it? For a perishable commodity. How do you make quick sense out of it for distribution? Quick communication is part of the answer. Reflecting immediately the changing demands and needs and expectations across the nation. Quick calculation is another part. As these needs are processed and translated into specific shipping requirements for each packing plant. What it should ship, and where, and how, and when. And so the routes of thousands of refrigerator cars and trucks make sense as they head out cross-country toward the consumer. But still, the problems are not all solved.
I know it's not there yet as I wired your warehouse. That flash flood near Yuma required rerouting. It'll be there first thing in the morning. Teletype to Pittsburgh. Reroute cars 1016, 1285, 1192, by way of Reading.
Well, that storm's got trucks jackknifed all along there. Frankly, most of them are going to be delayed.
I heard an hour ago he was slowed down in a dust storm, but he's moving.
And meat does keep moving, as the consumer knows. For the consumer can walk into any market in the country, and the meat will be there in abundance and variety. And this meat will be fresh, wholesome, and appetizing, an important source of high-quality proteins. She'll buy or not buy as she chooses. And what she chooses turns the wheels of this industry. It turns them all along the line, from the rangelands to the packing plants to the retailers. It turns them fast and in competition to deliver what she wants when and where she wants it. And so the trains and the trucks still move. It's only a matter of time and highways. In a way, it's like the way it was on the range. Time and grass and a tempo of the two. But now the pace is fast. Now it's time and highways and the tempo of these two. And a customer somewhere at the other end of the line.
Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to our Labor Day lunchtime streaming AV Geek show. I'm going to try to concentrate on showing films about work, including my favorite film about work, which I'll talk about when I get there. But first, we'll show, this is a film called Choosing Your Occupations, and the title is clipped, but you'll get the point. Here it is. Enjoy.
Darren? Well, what does it take to plan the choosing of your occupation? Well, I suggest two major investigations. The first one about not what you wish you were or are afraid you might be, but your real self. And another investigation about occupations. What's ahead for you in different jobs? This takes planning, but it will lead you to one of the most important decisions of your life. Now, what do you need to know about yourself? Well, what are your interests? What do you like? Then, your abilities. What are your strong and weak points? Your personality. What kind of person are you? All right, first, what interests you? You know, there are ways to determine your interests. Preference records, like these, will help you analyze yourself. Suppose you like to take pictures. This interests you. Photography may continue to be a spare time hobby, or it might lead you into your own business, or employment in a growing field. If your hobbies don't lead to a vocation, what kind of books and magazine articles do you like to read? What classes do you like and make good grades in? Consider many fields that interest you. Your list may narrow down as you consider your abilities. You may be better at some skills, not so good at others. For example, there are different kinds of ability needed here, aren't there? You may be alert and smart enough to be a catcher, and yet lack the good control and stamina required of a pitcher. If you know your abilities, you'll have a better chance of making the team. And just as the coach tries you out in various positions, you try yourself out in various fields with these tests. Besides general intelligence tests for mental abilities, there are other specific ability tests. These tests are not absolutely certain, but they try you out, give you a jumping-off place to start studying jobs. Come here for a moment. This manual dexterity test is one of them. How do you do on manipulating your hands and fingers? There are quite a few aptitude tests in many fields: computational, personal social, mechanical, scientific. While you're investigating abilities, visit your doctor to check up on physical abilities. There are specific ways of determining your physical abilities and aptitudes, but measuring your personality is more difficult. Suppose you work on the school paper. Your attitude toward getting things done is a measure of your sense of responsibility. How much imagination do you have? How much initiative? You can see, can't you, that your personality and emotional outlook will affect what you do. Yes, there are many things to consider about yourself: your interests, your abilities, and your personality. And when you know more about yourself, consider some of the occupations that might fit you. You'll need to know what preparation is required. Study, training. What atmosphere will you work under? Places and people, working conditions. What opportunities are available? How many jobs are there? Where? There are many ways to investigate occupations. You can read and study about many in pamphlets like these, put out by state universities, by federal and state governments, by professional and trade organizations, and by special guidance publishers. And here's a suggestion: keep notes on what you read and on what you observe. It'll help you. All around you, people are working. They are in occupations. What does it take to do that job? How did she get into that occupation? What skill is required for that? How long did he prepare for this? What could you learn about that occupation by trying that job for the summer? Investigate the courses of study for higher academic learning, the years of time and money you may spend studying for degrees. What will you get out of these? What about practical preparation? Courses offered in trade schools may provide technical training that will prepare you for a vocation in the trades. Besides school, on-the-job apprentice training is often required. Investigate also working atmosphere, the people and conditions around you as you work.
Working conditions? Why, I got a chance to move around, meet people. Then, too, I like working outdoors.
There are other factors to working atmosphere. Would you rather work with other people or by yourself? Are there advantages to working nights and sleeping days? Perhaps there are more opportunities then. What about opportunities? How many jobs are there for helicopter pilots? Are more people trained than will be needed in the next 5 years? Supply and demand do affect opportunities. Look for opportunities in the business directory of your telephone book. Investigate new and growing industries where you live. You'll find many advantages in occupations in your own town, where you can investigate the preparation required, the working atmosphere, and the opportunities for advancement. These factors must fit together with yourself. We counselors can only guide you toward considering the proper factors. When you've investigated, you'll have many related facts and opinions, which, like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, must be considered and put together. It takes careful thought. How your interests fit together with your opportunities in an occupation. Money You may choose your occupations for the luxuries that money can buy. But you may discover that collecting wealth leaves no chance to enjoy it. You may choose for security, the feeling that the job is for life. Or choose to serve humanity, finding your satisfaction in the importance of accomplishment. You may want to create artistically, or build mechanically. You may desire power, leadership, fame. You may find a combination of these aims in your choice of occupations. But start now to choose wisely and plan your courses. Your next few years are vital to you. Take advantage of this time. When you apply for that first job and the employment manager asks, "What can you do?" be ready with specific answers. Answers that will enable you to begin a successful career.
Oops. Looks like the not only was the title clipped, but the ending was clipped. That happens, of course, because when teachers who are not trained on how to use a projector thread the projector, they shred it, or when they try to rewind it back through the projector, that also shreds it. So that's how films like this end up missing both the beginnings and ends. People don't really pay attention. Yeah, today's Labor Day, and I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. You didn't have to. Hopefully you have the day off. And it's really nice outside in Raleigh for once, for the first time in many months, and I'm looking forward to, after this show, going out and spending some time outside before I go back inside and start digitizing some more films. But I want to say thank you for all the coffee that you've given me over the last couple of months. A way to support us is to buy us coffee, and it is like this direct correlation. It's really wonderful. I love coffee, and it seems to be inexpensive enough for you guys to buy it, so I appreciate that. And then the coffee gets into my brain and causes wheels to start turning, and so it's a great transaction. This next film is called Keeping Your Job is Work. Here we go.
These 4 young people have been hired. But will they be able to keep their jobs? When you accept employment with a firm or an individual, you've also accepted certain responsibilities. To keep your job, you must meet those responsibilities. It is as simple as that. Some employers or supervisors will continuously instruct, direct, and advise you. Others will give you assignments with little instructions. In either case, you'll be evaluated on your performance, and your job will depend on it. You may have the best intentions in the world, but it's performance that counts. What then are the things that will make the difference between keeping your job and being promoted, or losing it? Your first responsibility is to give the highest quality work that you can. There are, however, other responsibilities that are just as important. 2 of the most important things in keeping a job are being at work every day and being on time.
I just can't seem to get myself together in the morning. It's the baby or the car or traffic is heavy or something. I try, but I guess I just don't plan right.
Plan to arrive at work well ahead of time, not just on time. That way, if for some reason you're delayed, you will still arrive on time.
Getting to work on time is very important to me. Being late or absent all the time tells my supervisor that I'm not dependable. And I don't like that, because I know that I'm dependable. If I'm going to be late or absent, I always call in and tell them why.
Remember that time to an employer is profit. Profits are what keep him in business.
I always felt funny about asking questions. If he gave me something to do, he must have thought that I knew how to do it. To ask questions always made me feel stupid. So I'd either try to figure it out or try to fake it.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions really shows that you're interested in learning. Many times your fellow workers may be able to answer your questions, but if you still don't have a clear understanding, ask your supervisor. When your question has been answered, remember it. Make a note of the answer so you won't have to ask the same question over and over again. Keep this information and refer to it when necessary. The first few weeks or months on a job is your probationary period. This is when the supervisor is watching your performance closely. Try to do your best and accept criticism from the supervisor without getting angry. Nearly everyone finds it difficult during this period, but instructions and directions are important to help any group of people work together.
I just don't want anybody telling me what to do. You know, like I've got some sense. I'm no dummy.
This sounds good when you're talking to your friends, but it doesn't work on a job. Taking orders may be hard for some people to do, but taking reasonable orders is essential to keeping your job. Getting along with other employees is just as important as getting along with your supervisor. Conditions that make employees unhappy will affect the quality of their work.
You know, I just can't understand these old guys. Man, some of their ideas is way out. It's like their minds are in deep freeze. I try to talk with them about politics and about society, and man, they're just not with it.
Work is not the place to argue politics or religion. You cannot win. Respect the knowledge and experience of older employees. Don't make fun of the way they do things. If you think you have a better idea, discuss it with your supervisor. If it is a workable suggestion, you'll remember you for your alertness. Before you criticize existing procedures, try to have a positive suggestion to make. Be businesslike when working. Act mature. Be sure that your dress and behavior are appropriate for the job environment. Eating, making personal telephone calls, or having friends drop by to visit have no place at your workstation. Oh, by the way, when your work brings you in close contact with other people, be very careful about your personal hygiene. An employer expects you to show some initiative. A lack of initiative is usually interpreted as laziness. Some jobs have a built-in, steady supply of work. Other jobs have peaks of heavy workloads and periods of lesser work production. When the work required of you is slow, find something to do. Sitting around reading a book or knitting tells your employer that you lack initiative and ambition, or that you're just lazy. The other extreme is just as bad. To keep asking, what next, or to always be Johnny on the spot, is being pushy.
I always tried to complete every assignment in record time. Man, I was like Speedy. He would give it to me, and it was done. I wasn't concerned about how it was done, just that it was done.
The very pushy employee can drive a supervisor up the wall. Getting a job does not mean that you will keep it. Begin on the very first day trying to keep your job. The probationary period is a very important time. It is during this period that the supervisor is attempting to see if you can perform satisfactorily and if you can get along with other people. Keeping your job and advancing will depend on your ability to be prompt and dependable, have a clear understanding of what's expected of you, accept constructive criticism, cooperate and get along with fellow workers, take pride in your work and your behavior, show some initiative.
Getting to work on time is very important to me. Being late or absent all the time tells my supervisor that I'm not dependable. And I don't like that, because I know that I'm dependable.
Getting a job is a
That splice at the end, we don't know. Getting a job is what? No idea. I can guess. Somebody commented the soundtrack is awesome. Also, somebody commented that everybody looked like they were in a porn movie. Well, the thing to remember is that everybody in the late 60s and early 70s looked like that, and only some of them, a tiny portion of them, actually appeared in porn, because that's what they looked like when they had their clothes on, like everybody else in the late 60s, early 70s. It's funny. Well, I mean, it's weird. Like, everything is like, well, that's not, you know. Anyways, this next film is part of a batch of films that I got on eBay, included Electric Heating Goes to School, and Ohio Power Company Vet Party, 1950. This is a silent film, and it was it's actual footage, reversal Kodachrome footage. Now, here's something interesting. I was going to try to take a picture of it so we could learn a little bit something today, but sometimes if you don't know the date of something and it's on Kodak stock, you can look on the edge between the sprockets and you'll see Kodachrome or Kodak safety film, and then you'll see some codes. And let's switch to it. What happened? Wait, what's going on? Hold on. Let's try that again. There we go. We'll switch over. All right. So this is something that Kodak would do in their manufacturing process. When they make something, then they would basically put in a latent image that would, when you processed it, you would see it, and it would say Kodachrome or Kodak stock or whatever. And then you would have this weird, instead of actually putting the years, they would have this kind of hidden code, which if you did research, you could find it, I'm sure. But let me move this down because it's interfering. So when I looked at this film, there were 2 dots, so 2 circles. And so it could be either made in, if you look, the 2 circle symbol, it could have been made in 1919. Nope. 1939. Nope. 1959. 1979. So I'm looking at the can, and somebody actually wrote notes on it. It says, erecting power transmission towers, color silent, Kodachrome, 1962. So that makes sense. Like, 1959 is when the stock was made, and it was shot in 1962 because, you know, camera film has a shelf life to it. There's also other stuff which I don't have handy, but you can also see which Kodak plant made the film, based on a dot on the word Kodak. So there you go. There's our AV Geek knowledge of the day. So this next film, as I said, is erecting power transform towers. Oh, with helicopter, 1962. So there's no sound with this. Enjoy. So people ask me why I collect film, and I mean, that's awesome. That is really, really something. Very much enjoy that film. I haven't watched it in probably 10 years, but really an amazing documentation of, you know, how they put these towers up. Given where this box of films, kind of the rest of the films deal with kind of Western Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio kind of area. It's probably somewhere around there is where this was filmed. Awesome. So today I'm going to show my favorite film of all time. I've been putting it off for quite a while, but people ask me all the time, like, what's your favorite film? And it's usually a hard question to answer, but this one, for me, it kind of explains why I collect what I collect and what tickles my brain. This film, I got it on eBay, and a lot of times when I'm looking on eBay, I'm looking for things that nobody else is bidding on. I mean, certainly there's a short list of things I'm always looking for, but a lot of times I just like seeing what is out there because I find things that I don't know that I'm looking for, and this is an example of that. This film, the description was very simple. It said, Oscar Mayer film about high school marching bands. And I was like, that sounds intriguing. So I watched this, I got the film for nothing. Nobody else bid on it because nobody else thought it was interesting. Got the film and was just floored by how amazing this film is. And at first, it was really a question of, and I ask this question whenever I get a film and look at a film, is like, who is this made for? What's the intended audience? And what's the problem that they're trying to solve? Because that's why films like these exist, is they're trying to address an issue or a problem, or they're trying to promote something. And so what is this promoting? And I'm not going to give these answers at first. I want you guys to kind of think about it. Now, some of you might already know the answer to this question, so I ask if in the comments, don't say anything yet until the end. But for some of you, this was the first time I've shown this, you've seen this. So I want you to kind of think about, why was this film made? Who was it shown to? And is it a successful film in what it does? I think it is, but that's just me. All right, so here it is. Where did I put it? Oh yeah, Pride on Parade. Enjoy.
If there's one place in the world where it's fun to be part of the crowd, it's at a parade. Maybe that's why everybody loves a parade.
I like to see the families having fun. It brings back a lot of good memories. It just makes me feel happy, I guess. It looks like everyone's enjoying what they're doing, and that's what it's really all about.
Of course, it wouldn't be a parade without a band to listen to, or a hot dog to eat. That's what a parade is. Hot dogs and music, excitement and anticipation. It's the fun of waiting for a band to come marching by, seeing the talents and skills, the discipline and pride that come together into one grand and thrilling impression called music. A band on parade is a finished product created by many individual talents all working together to make the sounds we like to hear. The tastes we enjoy, the things we like to eat, these two are a combination of special ingredients brought together by people of skill and talent. Let's go see why in music, or in food, these qualities of excellence lead to success. The hot dogs we enjoy eating at a parade begin way out here. In places such as this all over America, meat processors like Oscar Mayer come to buy pork and beef fresh off the farm. Turning natural products into good-tasting foods, just like turning notes into music, requires people who have special skills and talents and enjoy being the best at what they do.
All right, Stars and Stripes Forever, starting at the Grandioso portion. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now.
The final product is important in all of our minds, but we have a great time in rehearsing, and there is a good rapport between director and members of the group. Yet the primary thing, of course, is that work now and play later, and we all have a great time at it.
And when I saw it, I said, this is a band that I want to be in. And I never even dreamed that I was going to be in this band.
I had to wait 4 years to join the band, so I was really happy. It's just real fun.
It's nice because we work hard.
A lot of practice. Worked our rear ends off.
Eric, I want you to watch those dynamics there. The accents are just not there. I'm waiting for them. This time, Eric, be with us. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, now.
Our sound has to be the right way, in tune and everything. And we have to have all our notes.
It's a hard thing to do, so to get as much practice as you can to be good at it.
The skills it takes to make a band a success are also the skills it takes to make good meat products. Pride, experience, teamwork. The meat processor's art has its own disciplines, as rigid as those of the musician.
When I came in, they had someone that was already trained on the machine that I run, and I worked with him. It's kind of a complicated machine. It's got a lot of buttons and switches.
I had a lot of experience with baking. We had to be able to judge what was good and what was not good.
Third trumpet, what's going on over there? Mush. All I hear is mush. No intonation, no dynamics. What's going on? Let's get it together. 1, 2, ready, now.
Teamwork is vital to the success of an organization, such as a marching or concert band. We have the various elements of the organization that must be working as a team to provide one unified mass performance.
There's a lot of individuals, they're soloists, but they all just mesh together, and it's really a group effort that makes this band so great.
So we all have to sound good in order to make it sound the best.
The people are nice, and you have to be to make it out here, to work.
We have a little saying, OBST, our band sticks together.
Everybody takes care of everybody else.
And if like one person gets in trouble, everybody helps them.
Everybody just jumped right in, took care of my family, my dog, and the cat.
It's a lot of friendship. All the people in your section come over, shake your hand, and welcome you to the band.
Everyone's friendly. It's just a great plant to work for.
It's one unit, the flag girls,
the group,
all the sections within the band,
management,
the staff members, everything. They push for this one band.
People who work together know the value of teamwork. In the meat processor's art, individual talents work together to make the things we like to eat. The boning of fresh meat is still done by skilled hands, a tradition that goes back hundreds of years. Carefully trimmed sides of fresh pork are still cured and smoked in special rooms where time and temperature turn them into bacon. Scientific food processing techniques and specially trained people control the temperature, moisture, protein, and overall quality of every item the modern processing plant makes, from pork sausage to luncheon meats. And it's all done under the eyes of federal inspectors. Here, just as with the band, individual skills and teamwork by all the performers are the measures of excellence.
We have quality assurance throughout the entire plant. Those quality checks are against certain high standards that our management and our sales department and our marketing department, for the most part, have set. They know and they have their thumb on the pulse of the consumer. We know the quality levels that the consumer wants.
It's more fun to eat something when you know that what you're eating is good for you. Every slice of luncheon meat you pick up is a slice of good nutrition. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but a hot dog has as much protein as an egg. And 4 ounces of ham has only about half as many calories as a quarter pound of hamburger. So when you take quality luncheon meats and make yourself a sandwich, you're making something that has the nutrition you need and the taste you like. To make things that are good to eat, you need spices to give them distinction. The spices we taste, like the spices we hear, have to blend together. They must complement the other ingredients that are used, the other instruments that are played, and together they must create a harmony of taste or sound. Whether it's food or music, how good something is depends a lot on how things come together. In the case of a band, the quality of excellence is knowing that all the parts, each instrument, each member, knows what to do and when to do it.
We're going to have to repeat that last section again. Need a little bit more work on that. About haste. Again, band. About haste. All right, band. Heading.
And when each move is made the way it should be, the result is perfection.
You'll step up on 4 whistles.
And when hot dogs are made to perfection, they're made in a special place called Hot Dog Highway that makes thousands of them every hour. Because people like their hot dogs in all different sizes and shapes, meat processors make regular ones, long ones, short ones, plump ones, skinny ones, little ones, and big ones. And all along the line, there's perfection at every turn. Research people are constantly improving processing and packaging techniques. Everything is checked individually, and no package leaves the plant without someone's personal stamp of approval. Being the best, making excellence a way of life, means having pride. Pride in how you look and how well you do your job. For a band, it's wearing a uniform. It's how the band looks and sounds when it takes to the field.
When I'm in the uniform, I feel like I've got to set an example, and I also have to show pride that I'm proud of this uniform that I'm wearing.
A band will be judged by its overall effect. Success depends on how well the band can execute the sounds and movements of its art. The same kind of teamwork is found wherever pride and excellence are a way of life. The package a food product wears is as important to its success as the uniform is to the band's success.
By the time we're out on the street, we're so high as it is that we just can't be stopped.
individual skills, discipline, pride, teamwork. These are the qualities of excellence, the mark of success. They are also the ingredients that make a band sound so exciting and a hot dog taste so good.
Every time I watch that, it gets better and better, because it helps reaffirm the decision I've made about what this film is about. So some people have put forth some ideas of what they thought this film was about and who it was made for. And the first thing was, I thought, is this like a promotional film for Oscar Mayer? Is it like is it a film that when people come in to start working for Oscar Mayer, this is what they show? Or like, is it a corporate film that, you know, when people tour, they get a sense of what Oscar Mayer is all about? Because it seems to be covering, you know, some of those bases about, you know, it's selling Oscar Mayer products and how wholesome they are. But the real message here is the fact, like, every time that they talk to an Oscar Mayer meat, like, packager, they're not very articulate. They talk about there being a lot of buttons and switches, and, you know, it's kind of low, unskilled labor for the most part. I mean, that's who we get hired. And so the message here is, it's one, building team. It's a team building film. Two, any negative aspect to the film about you're not playing together, your appearance isn't good, it's mush, is all delivered by a band director and talked about by students, high school marching band students, who are far more articulate than the people that are working at Oscar Mayer. And so it's a way to talk about building morale and teamwork specifically for the people that are packaging the meat at the very end. Why is this important? I mean, there's a lot of assembly line footage in here. It's quite amazing. But a lot of it is mechanical. It's already automated. Except for when they splay out the different lunch meats, or when they package the hot dogs, or when they package the bacon. There's a person there that has to kind of put that out. And so what they're trying to say is that all these other people are doing all this work. You have the meat cutters, you have the people that are processing it, that are doing the testing, the quality work. You're the last person that's touching this product, and you're the one that can completely ruin it for us, because the display, your carelessness has made it to where this is not a sellable product. It doesn't say that explicitly, but implicitly, man, it's there. And it's really phenomenal. It's in that regard of, like, how can we... I'm sure that when they shot this film, like, Oscar Mayer's like, we have a problem with morale, we have a problem with products being ruined because people are not taking care, and they're not taking pride in their work. So they probably went and they shot, and they probably couldn't get anybody to talk negatively about working there because they didn't want to lose their job. Then they realized, like, you know, having supervisors yell at them on film isn't really serving the purpose because they're already yelling at them. So how can we instill some sort of sense of pride? Well, high school marching bands, which almost all these people went to high school. They know about high school marching bands. Let's talk about them. Let's come up and let's interview them. And so it's a really amazingly weird kind of montage of the two back and forth, cutting meat, like playing in a band. You know? So that's why I love this film. There you go. That's my favorite film of all time. The other funny thing about this film is that it talks about the different types of wieners that it makes. Big ones, short ones, fat ones, skinny ones. But that's not Oscar Mayer's deal. So in the comments, who did the fat ones, skinny ones? Whose line is that from? It's not Oscar Mayer. So it's interesting that they mention that, because it's definitely I don't know if it's a riff on it or what the deal is, but it's not Oscar Mayer. It's kind of funny. All right, one last film, and then I'm going to go outside. Maybe mow the lawn. I don't know. We'll see. This is on film, and this is a how-to, and this is how to dig a hole to the other side of the earth. Enjoy.
How to dig a hole to the other side of the world. Find a soft place. Take a shovel and start to dig a hole. The dirt you dig up is called loam. Loam, or topsoil, is made up of tiny bits of rock mixed with many other things, such as plants and worms that died and rotted long ago. When you have dug through the topsoil, you'll come to clay, or gravel, or sand. The digging will be harder. When the hole is 5 or 6 feet deep, you'd better ask a friend to help. She can pull up the clay or gravel in a bucket while you stay at the bottom of the hole and keep digging. Sooner or later, you'll come to rocks. All sorts of rocks. Big rocks, little rocks, granite, limestone, sandstone. If you started your hole in Africa, you might find diamonds. In Brazil, you might find emeralds. In other places, you might find coal, or gold or silver. Wherever you dig, watch for old bones and shells. The bones of many animals, dinosaurs, giant tigers, turtles, and other creatures of long ago, are buried everywhere. If you find some, dust them off carefully and save them. When you have dug about 50 feet down, maybe more or maybe less, you will come to solid rock. This is the rocky skin of the earth, called the crust. It's mostly granite. To dig through it, you will need a drilling machine. Start drilling. You may hit water. Rain sinks through the topsoil and gathers in pools and underground rivers. If you come to water, you should put on a diving suit. You may come to a lake of black, gooey oil. If you hit oil, it would be best to give up this hole and start another somewhere else. Keep drilling. When you have drilled down a mile or so, the rock will be warm. This is because heat flows up into the rock from the center of the earth. You may hit boiling water or steam. This is because rainwater drips down through cracks onto very hot rock. Sometimes it comes up again. In some places on Earth, hot water bubbles up in springs or shoots up in geysers. Because of the boiling water and steam, you will need an asbestos diving suit. Stay out of the way of geysers. If you got caught in a geyser, it might carry you up to the surface and shoot you into the air. When you came down, you would have to start digging all over again. Keep drilling for 10 or 20 miles. You will come to a kind of rock called basalt. Basalt is black and hard and smooth and heavy. There is a layer of basalt 2 or 3 miles thick wrapped around the earth. Keep drilling. As you go deeper, the basalt will get hotter and hotter. It will get so hot that it will melt and glow dark red. Melted basalt is called magma. This is the stuff that sometimes shoots out of cracks in the earth and makes volcanoes. When it cools on top of the ground, it is called lava. Volcanoes are very dangerous. Be careful and don't get caught in one. To go through red-hot magma, you will need a jet-propelled submarine. It must have a supercooling system, a fireproof skin, and a drill at the tip of its nose. Your nose spaceship must be very strong. An ordinary one would be squashed by the weight of the magma around it. Or burned up by the heat. Down here, below the crust of the earth, it is hotter than any fire you ever felt. And it will get hotter and hotter the deeper you go. When you've gone down about 150 miles, you're in what is called the mantle of the earth. The mantle is made of basalt that is melted into goo, and at the same time is harder than steel. It is melted by the great heat, and is hard because of the great weight above pressing it down. Keep drilling. You still have a long way to go. The mantle is 1,700 miles thick. As you go down, down, down in your fireproof submarine, you will notice that the color of the mantle turns from red to orange to yellow. This is because it's getting hotter and hotter. At the bottom of the mantle, the temperature is more than 3,000 degrees Celsius. It is so hot that if your ship caught fire, it wouldn't even leave an ash. At the bottom of the mantle, you are more than halfway to the center of the earth. Now you must go through what is called the outer core of the earth. It is a mixture of melted rock and iron. It is 1,300 miles thick. It will be hard going, but if you have come this far, you should keep on. You are getting very close to the center of the earth. After the outer core comes the inner core. The inner core of the earth is a ball of solid iron. It is so hot that it glows with white light. Go 860 miles straight down, and you will be at the center of the earth. The center of the earth is a place where east meets west, north meets south, and up meets down. At the center of the earth, there is nothing under you. Every direction is up. Your feet are pointing up, and your head is pointing up, both at the same time. Because there is nothing under you, you will weigh nothing. You will float inside your nose spaceship. The weight of the whole world will press down on your ship. Do not stay long. Go straight ahead and begin the long trip up. Go 860 miles through the inner core and 1,300 miles through the outer core. Drill up and up through the mantle, and then through the magma, and then through the crust, and then through rocks and sand and clay. At last, you will come to the surface. You will be about 8,000 miles from where you started to dig on the opposite side of the world. If you started in the United States, you will come up at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. It will be delightfully cool, but full of sharks. Stay in your submarine and steer it to the top. There, you can open the hatch. You will see the sky and the sun. Or perhaps it will be night, and you will see the moon and the stars. If you have a sail, hoist it and start sailing home. Or else, paddle. When you get home, you can tell everyone you have dug the deepest hole in the world and are very, very glad to be back on top of the earth.
It's a fun film. It kind of tickles my brain as a kid, thinking about traveling through the Earth, and then the technology it would take and the adventure, and the fact that it's teaching me a little bit about what the Earth is like underground. So I think that's a successful educational film. I hope everybody has a good rest of the Labor Day weekend. I hope that you got some quality time in, not working. Or if you're working, then hopefully today is a little bit of a break because nobody else is working. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe, hit like, various buttons and ways to do that. You can also buy us coffee. And I said that I would spend some of that money on buying a hot dog, so I will happily do that. I'm going to have a hot dog after this. I have hot dogs here already, but if you send us money for hot dogs, I will. There's this place I love called Clues that I will go to this week if you facilitate that. It has the best Detroit-type hot dogs. They fry them on a grill. Really great. You can also go to avgeeks.com and watch other things that we've done in the past, buy DVDs, etc. Thanks for tuning in today. It's good to see everybody's face, your comments and such. So we'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully. Take care. As always, please rewind, love each other. Peace sign, happy face, and we'll see you soon.